Well, first and foremost, I'll be honest. I don't know if a year or so ago, if we thought, this day would be here. Things move on. Dave touched on it. This is a hard game played by tough people making hard decisions. And just to be standing in this room with everything we've all gone through the last year, the ups and the downs, the personal struggles, the struggles of the world, to just be in this room with friends and family is the highlight of my career. So first and foremost, Mr. Tepper, thank you for inviting my family back. It means a great deal. You know how we feel about this community. To be here and look across the room and see people we consider family. I mean, guys, we spent a lot of times with Drum. Thanks for putting this together. Ryan Anderson, Coach Rule. I know we didn't get a chance to work together, but the last thing I told you before I walked out of your office was I'm always going to be a fan of yours and wish for your success, whether I'm a part of it or not. At the time, I was still on the team technically. But that was the last thing I ever said to you, and I mean that. So for you guys to open back up and let my family have this day, it means a great deal to us. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. So when Mr. Tepper called me to ask me if I was open to doing this, of course I said yes. And then a couple days or a week later, Ryan Anderson called me and he said, "Hey, we want to do it with Thomas. Is that something you'd be interested in?" And I said, "Are you kidding me?" Like, of course. I mean, what a better honor to go in, a guy I love and I respect and great, I said, "I'm not going to lie though, I'm a little nervous. I mean, you guys see this outfit that he's wearing?" I said, "I'm going to come up here on like a big day of my career and this guy's going to outshine me, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for that." But it happened. I was true. That's the greatest outfit I've ever seen. And it doesn't surprise me. All seriousness though, when I first got here in 2011, the Ryan Khalils and the Jordan Grosses, the Thomas Davises, it was real evident who ran this team, who were the guys that I needed to win over as the new guy coming into training camp, who were the guys that I needed to earn their respect from my performance. Here's some random kid from Chicago who got traded here. Can he play? The last time I played you guys, I fumbled twice. Thanks, Voth, for pointing that out to everybody. He made me fumble once. Voth decided to put that on Twitter last week. That was fun. But the guy who really rose to the top of the, amongst the top of the list was Thomas. And we didn't know each other at all. We had played against each other, always had a lot of respect for him, knew part of his story and part of his background. But little did I know just the impact that this guy was going to have on me. We didn't play the same position. We didn't play on this side of the ball. We never sat in a meeting together. But just the friendship that we formed, getting to know Kelly and the kids and your parents and your family. I mean, so many people that I got to see again for the first time. To share this moment with you, Thomas and Kelly and the entire family, I don't know if I would ask to do it any different. I mean, the leadership that you guys showed to show us the way to give back, to show us what it meant to be bigger than a football player, to be a family that really embraced the community, both here and back home where you guys grew up, was an unbelievable inspiration for Kara and I. When we went down our journey and tried to find our way of engaging with the community, you guys were our lead. We followed the path that you guys had set. And one of my favorite memories of my whole career involves you guys. We were going to the Man of the Year, and the second time was in, it was in Minnesota. And I'd lost the year before, and we're like, oh, we're going to get it. But Kara and I were nervous, and whatnot. I was like, what am I going to say if I win? Is there any chance I actually win? And we showed up, and we didn't know Thomas and Kelly had flown out and were sitting next to us in the audience when we sat there. And Thomas, of course, had won, years before, and just listening to his speech, and I always imagined, like, was I going to be able to deliver a speech like that? And, just to have Thomas and Kelly share that moment with us as just friends, as just people who had been down that road, and to have their support. They didn't need to fly out there to sit by Kara and I. He had won his Man of the Year. He had done his thing. He didn't need to come out there and support us, but they did. And I just think that's a testament to the whole family, to Thomas and Kelly and the kids. You guys, it's been awesome to get to watch you guys. When you walked in, I said, Kelly, what is going on with your kids? Why are they so big? But when I met you guys, they were like mine. So I just want you guys to know, to share this day with you, TD, is an unbelievably humbling, and I'm so grateful for that. And Kelly, you guys have been great friends. So thanks for letting us share this day. I know this day means a lot to you, but just know your presence here to share this with you means a great deal to our family. So we love you guys, and just wanted to first start off with that. A lot of my background into football, I gotta stop looking at my mom. She's gonna make me cry. My football story is unique in of its own, but if it wasn't for my dad, I never would have played football. I remember we were kids and we would watch the Hall of Fame speeches, and I remember growing up saying, could I ever give that speech and hold it together? Obviously I can't. I'm not a crier, but I can't stress the impact playing for my dad as my high school football coach and learning the game of football, going to camps as kids like my own, sleeping on dorms at Penn State, sleeping on the floor at Rutgers, traveling around to coaches' clinics, and just learning the game through him. He was my first coach. He was my best coach. No offense to everybody else. But he's now my kids' coach. We coach together. He's still my coach. He would call me after every game. I'll never forget, I had a game where I had 10 catches, and I dropped the ball on the sideline, and after the game, I'm feeling good about myself, and I'm like, it was a good game, whatever. He's like, what happened on the sideline? I was like, Jesus. I was like, I caught 10 balls. I missed one. Give the guy a break. But that was him, and the traits that he taught me, not only through football, but just as my dad, and about perseverance and toughness and grit and fight, was what I always hoped my career embodied. I was never the best athlete. I was never the fastest guy. I was never the most talented guy, but no one was ever going to outwork me. No one was ever going to outfight me. And that was the way we were expected to play. That was the way we were expected to live every day of our lives. And sometimes, my brother Kevin's here, he can probably attest, sometimes it wasn't great. But looking back on it, I'm not standing here if it wasn't for him. And so first and foremost, my journey to get to this podium today and to have those accolades and the catches and all that aren't possible if it wasn't for him. And he had shoulder surgery last week, so he's struggling. But I made sure that he was going to be okay to be here because my journey to this day started with him and the man I am. And then I got to not look at my mom. My mom is and was the center of our lives growing up. All boys, sports family, football, old school football coach as a husband, hard on us. She was the balancing act, and she would admit it, maybe sometimes too much. But she was the compensation. She was the yin to his yang, and it worked for us. Our family dynamic worked for us. I'll never forget, you talk about toughness and perseverance and lessons that I've carried with me to this day. My junior year in high school, watching her go through chemotherapy, battling cancer, coming to games, wearing a wig and a hat underneath the bleachers, not feeling good. She never missed a game. And again, you're a 16-year-old kid, but and at the time you don't realize, but now looking back, all of that stuff made such an impact on who I am, the father I've been able to be, the husband, so my journey starts with my parents. I'm forever grateful for what you guys have done for me, the sacrifices. We're still making new memories now with other things going on in our life, but I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for you guys. So I love you guys. Thank you. I got one of my brothers here. My other brother's not here. My one thing that I've never let my dad live down was he had 3 kids. He made 2 of them quarterbacks, and he made 1 of them a tight end. And if any of you guys know how NFL football goes, you want to play quarterback. You don't want to play tight end. So I had an older brother who was a year older than me, Chris. He's not here. He was my first quarterback. Until I went to college, or really my senior in high school, I never caught a pass from anybody else in the world. He was my first quarterback. We were only a year apart. He was my best friend growing up. Fight, but best friends. And, learned the game with Dad through that. Forever grateful for those memories. We tried to play together in college. It didn't work out. We both went our separate ways. But, the impact of growing up with him. And then I had a 10-year-old younger brother who's here, Kevin, 10 years younger than me, quarterback. He was like my little buddy coming around. He's almost like was almost like my kid. You know, I was a high school senior graduating, going off to college, and he was like the 7, 8-year-old kid running around Miami spring ball, like jumping on the pads like my kids would do now. And he'd be like, who's that kid? I'm like, that's actually my brother. And he was just always around, always with us. And these last couple years, I wouldn't have been able to keep playing. He was my quarterback. He was my jugs machine. He was my workout partner, whatever I needed from him. I couldn't be more proud of you, bud. I'm glad that you're here. I wish Chris was here too, but you know, he lives out of town, and him and his wife. So to see you guys moving on with your lives, Lauren's here, Chris and Lindsay, you guys, you know, your support of me just as brothers. You guys never cared that I played football. You didn't care that I was, you know, whatever I did. You guys just love me for being my brother, and I just want you guys to know I'm thankful for you guys, and I'm glad that you could be here, bud, to enjoy it. My path to Carolina was pretty interesting. I started out, I went to Notre Dame, didn't work out, transferred to University of Miami. Never thought I'd play it down there. I mean, when I went to Miami, they were a lot better than they are now. And, sorry, cut that out. But anyway, that's the truth. So anyway, and I never forget, I called my dad that first night, and I was like, you know what, Dad, how is it? You love it? I'm like, I love it. It's great. I was like, I'm not as good as these guys. I'm never going to play here. You know, my first year I redshirted, kept battling. Was good enough to eventually get drafted by the Chicago Bears back in 2007, and that was my NFL journey starting. You know, I was very thankful for the McCaskey family, a family that I've crossed paths with now, you know, a few times over the last couple of years, and have always just had great respect for the way they operate. That was a great city. The city of Chicago embraced my family and I from day one. We brought home our first son there. He likes to call them the good old days when it was just the three of us. And 8 weeks after that, I got the phone call that changed my life. Drew, my agent, Drew Rosenhaus, is here. He called me. It was on the eve of training camp. I had checked into my dorm, and this one phone call has forever changed the course of my life. Got a call from Drew that the Bears were not looking to extend my contract after this final year of my rookie deal, and that they were going to open it up to trade. And by the next afternoon, John Beeson, who I thought was going to be here, I wish I saw him, was a teammate of mine in college, was a first-round pick my same year here to Carolina. He called me and says, hey, you're coming to Carolina. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. 2 seconds later, Drew called me. I got traded to Carolina. And that one, at the time, I was mad. I was bitter. I wanted to stay in Chicago. We had just played in the NFC Championship. Again, you never know in life how change is going to impact you going forward. And it was the single greatest thing that ever happened to Kara and I, single greatest thing that ever happened to my family, was coming from Chicago, relocating to Carolina, and being a part of building what we were able to build here. Joining guys like Thomas and Ryan and Charles and all the guys that were here and had set that foundation. I was happy to come in and play my part to building what we felt we took a lot of pride in what we had built over the years here. And, you know, my time here, I don't have enough time. I'm a talker, but I don't have enough time, so I want Thomas to have his moment. But I could go on. And when I think about my memories here and I look around this room, every guy I see, you know, when I see, you know, Mike Anderson and you know, Matt Allen and Claire, and I think of like Friday bow time and like sitting around, and Friday after practice, we're sitting around eating biscuits and chicken fingers, and by the end of the year, our table was like 50 people deep, right? Like people from all aspects of the building. And we were you had to be there. Like, those are the memories I think about. Those were the memories that made this place so special. We won our fair share of games. We had our magical wins. We had our plays that stick out. But the people were what made this place so unique. You know, guys that are lifelong friends. I touched on Thomas. I know Luke's here somewhere, lifelong friend. JJ, Chris Manhertz is here. Tolber. I mean, guys that I'm so fortunate to be able to call like some of my best friends that I've ever had. Just fate brought us together. That random trade in 2011 where I didn't even know where Charlotte, I didn't know if it was North or South Carolina. I had never been here. Little did I know what paths were going to open because of that. And for that, I couldn't be more thankful for the memories that we made, the moments that we shared, the losses that we shared, you know, the people. So, you know, Mr. Richardson brought me here. I couldn't be more thankful for him, what he did for my family, at some of our toughest times, to go out of his way and go above and beyond. I know he means a lot to a lot of other guys around here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank him for opening his arms and welcoming me and my family here to Carolina. Ron, Coach Rivera, he's somebody that I still keep in great contact with. Almost went and joined Thomas with them in Washington this year, ended up going out west. It's another conversation. But, just these guys, Coach Hanner, Pete, 9 years, good old Pete. And how you saw him in that video was how he coached me for 9 years. The offensive coordinators we had Shula, and just the coaches, the people, the support staff, the trainers. Kevin King, I think, is here somewhere, and JB, you saw House on the video, and Nate. I could go on and on and on. Mr. Coleman, literally the best employee this organization has ever had. The fact that I walked in and saw him here today with his wife, I could stand here for 2 hours and talk about the people in this organization and tell a story on every single one of them of how they've impacted my life, regardless of what happened on the field. And to me, that's the measure of an organization. That's the measure of what makes all this stuff worth it. Because it's hard. It's not easy. Not every day in the NFL is easy. Not every day in the NFL, you feel at the time is worth it, but it is. And it's because when you look back on the memories that we made and the moments that we shared is what makes all this so worth it. There's a few things that stand out, and I'm going to finish. Some of those moments you saw them, the 2015 season, we tried as hard as hell in 2016 to recreate it. It's hard to recreate that magic. There was something unique about that team. There was something unique about that season. We literally tried to do the exact same thing the next year. Didn't go nearly as well. But, I'll never forget those moments. I'll never forget everyone talks about the catch to beat Seattle. I think about the flight home. And Tolbert's dancing, and guys are in the aisle of the plane, and no one's sitting down, and the flight attendants are asking, we're about to take off. Those were the moments, the energy, the camaraderie, being with the guys. That's the stuff that I'll miss the most. And when I think back to special games, I think about the experiences with the people that I got to share it with. Banging the drum with TJ shortly after he came back from, having one of his big surgeries. The team honored me and asked me to bang the drum, the keep pounding drum. I have that picture hanging in my office. It's one of the highlights of my life, let alone my career. Just holding him, he was a baby. He had been through so much. Banging the drum before our first playoff game. We finally made the playoffs that year, and a home playoff game, and we won. It was just a special night for us. And to look back and know that the organization let me have that moment with my son and all that drum symbolizes with the fabric of this organization was a huge honor. And again, I could go on and on about different experiences. I've been very fortunate in my life to have so many people that weren't my parents, my wife, my brothers, that were just such huge support for me. And when Kara and I started dating in college and getting to know her parents, who are also here today, and just to be able to see our families connect and to see our families coexist. And not everything always has to be hunky-dory. Not everything is always going to be perfect, right? This is not a fairy tale. But just to have their support and treat me like I was their son and to cheer for me and have the best interest in me, their support has meant unbelievable. Kara has a sister and husband who we went to college with, who have become like brothers and sisters to me, and their nephews, their kids are our niece and nephews. I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by people who didn't raise me, weren't my mom and dad, weren't my brothers, but have grown into those roles, just incredible support and love and kindness. So for you guys, I'm thankful. I'm happy that you guys are here. It means a lot that you could share this with Kara and I. And a couple other close buddies of mine with Maddie and Peter, guys who I've worked with for over a decade, who they get a lot of calls from me. When I got released from the Panthers, they get a call. When I get a contract extension with the Panthers, they get a call. When I'm debating my future of retirement, they get a call. And I'm sure at times they don't want to answer it, but they do. They're just true friends. And very often in life, you don't come across many of those people. So I'm thankful that you guys are here. I appreciate what you guys have done. And Drew, I think he's somewhere here. He's probably negotiating a deal. Okay, the lights. Me and Drew had a lot of good times, I'll be honest. We were very fortunate, and Drew's the first to remind everybody when the times were down, but we had a good run. We negotiated a lot of contracts together. We did very well, but all that aside, there was no more loyal person in my career. Nobody who had my best interest at heart like he did. From the day I met him leaving Miami, my entire 14-year career, he was with me. I'm thankful for you, bud. I appreciate you being here. Anybody who has you and works with you, I know feels the same way that I do. So to all of you guys, my support system and my extended family and friends, I'm thankful that you guys got to be here. Last and not least, the community of Carolina as a whole, the region, North and South Carolina, Charlotte especially. From the day we got here, you guys wrapped your arms around me and my family. When news broke of what TJ was going to go through upon being born, when the twins were getting ready to be born back in that fateful 2012 season, you guys wrapped your arms around us. There wasn't an event that we held that you weren't there. We'd be in the hospital for what seemed like years, and people would send notes, and people would send balloons, and people would reach out to us to just let us know that they were thinking about us, people we never even knew. I can't tell you guys, for all of you listening, and hopefully everyone who's not gets this message, we could not be more grateful to be a member of this community. This is home. This is where we raise our children. We are forever indebted to this community. You guys, you helped save our families' lives. You know, you helped keep us intact, and your support and your continued support now, hopefully even after I'm done playing, and we hope that we can continue to achieve great things. Levine Children's Hospital, I know they have some representatives back here. You literally saved our kid's life. We didn't even know you existed until we needed you. And I always tell people it's the greatest place in the world that you hope you never have to step foot in. And unfortunately for us, we did. And we've been there a lot. And you know, we wouldn't be sitting here as a family of 5 with a little guy like that if it wasn't for you. And to the staff there and the doctors and the nurses, there's too many to thank. We love you guys. We are forever in your corner. There is nothing that we wouldn't do for you. You know, you heard Mr. Tepper talk about the gala that him and his wife Nicole joined us at. You know, those days are still ahead for us. There's still a lot for us to accomplish. There's still a lot that we can do in that world. So to the entire community, to the fan base of Carolina, I thank you guys so much. We love you guys. And now to what I know is going to be the hardest part, and then I'm done, I promise. I mean, my kids, my wife, I met Kara. We were freshmen living in the same dorm. She tells a different story than I do about how we first connected. I'll save that for another time, Kelly. I wouldn't be standing here having the career that I had if I didn't make the decision to marry Kara and decide to live my life with her. I've gone to bat on that theory with a lot of people who don't agree with me. But if you find that right person and you know they're the one, and they can live their life selflessly only through your needs, wishes, and desires, and don't get me wrong, I'm not the easiest guy to deal with. I'm very purposeful in what I want to do. I'm very obsessed with my routine. I'm very obsessed with how I prepare. My career took a lot out of our family, and I don't shy away from that. I apologize for that, but she never made me apologize for that. She understood it was a team effort for us to live this life. For me to be a professional football player was not just me off on my own and pressure to get back because we got things to do. No, my career and my dreams and my goals were always at the top of her priority list. And I just can't imagine, doing this with anybody else. Tate, it's like looking in a mirror. He's my little buddy. He's living my life from 30 years ago. I love you, bud. I'm proud of you. You are my little clone, good and bad. Your mommy reminds me of that a lot. And I love you, pal. I'm glad you got to experience my career. I'm glad that you got to be a part of it. I hope you're old enough to remember a lot of the good times. My one regret is I wish I could have had some more of those special years and special moments when you were a little older, because I think you would have loved it. And Tally, you're like our little ray of sunshine. I'll never forget sneaking out of the locker room one day at halftime to watch you be a Top Cat. That was a highlight of my career. I didn't tell anybody, I just did it. But I wasn't going to miss the chance to watch you run around and cheer and that smile on your face. We love you, baby. You're the best. And TJ, you are inspiration for so much of this, bud. And you're the toughest kid we know. What you've been through, the inspiration that you've given us and people all around the country, we wouldn't change a thing. We wish you didn't have to go through it, but we wouldn't change it. And you're a special little boy. And Kara never wants the spotlight, so today I'm going to give her the spotlight, and she doesn't have a choice. She's the most selfless, does not want the attention, does not want the accolades, does not want the compliments or the praise. But she deserves it. And when Mick said it at the front of this ceremony as a joke is the truth. She's the most special person I've ever met. And her ability to let me live out my dreams that I had since a young boy running around on my dad's sideline, and to be my partner and fly all over the country to chase this dream, and to think of nobody else, to never think of herself and only put her husband and her 3 kids before her, is something I'll never be able to repay you. She's trying to get me to repay it now that I'm retired, which she reminds me of. But that's going to be a process. But Kara, words can't sum up the impact you've had on my life, and the ability to stand here and call you my wife and call you my best friend and my partner to get to this point has been the greatest experience in my life. And to share this with you for this day, with our family, with all of our friends and people here, has been bigger than I ever really imagined standing here now. So I love you. I don't know how else I can express that to you. I hope I made you proud. I would text her before every game. You know, I wanted her and the kids to enjoy these moments, and I hope I made them proud, because to get onto the field on Sunday, they sacrificed a lot. The off seasons, no traveling, I'm working out, I'm gone. They sacrificed a lot, and I just hope it was worth it. My biggest regret is I just hope everything I did for myself in my career, I hope I look back and it was worth it in your guys' eyes. And if it was, that's the greatest thing that I could ask for. So I hope everyone enjoyed this run as good as I did. I hope people look back on my career, and I hope my teammates look back on playing with me and look at it as a positive one. My number one goal was always to be a great teammate. I wanted guys to feel confident when I was on the field with them that I was going to be there always. And if that's the legacy of my career, that I was a good teammate and a good guy to coach and somebody you wanted to be on your team, that's all I ever cared about. The catches come and go, the wins come and go. I just took great pride in my teammates and having their respect, and having their love, and I hope when it's all said and done, that's how people remember me. So thank you guys all so much for all of that. I appreciate your time. Thank you.